A Villain in Venice, Jane of the Air, Book 1. A steampunk detective and aviatrix and part-time spy. Available now. All profits to the NHS.
Scanning for audio.
Welcome to a Tin Dog podcast. This one's a little bit different from usual because this time I'm going to be talking about Lovecraft Country. More importantly, what I thought I'd do is a reaction to each episode rather than a full, scary, in-depth review where I take each thing apart. It's me just watching an episode and going, yeah, this is what I thought. So episode 1, called Sundown, kind of fits with, say, episode 2, making one full narrative piece. They all interlock. Now, obviously, your job with your episode 1, your pilot episode, is to fit together, but let's deal with the synopsis as well as it would appear on Sky TV. Sundown series premiere. Atticus Freeman recruits his uncle George and childhood friend Letitia on a journey to help find his missing father, Montrose. That's it. Now, I will grant you this straight off. Another Monster of the Week TV show wouldn't really have grabbed my attention. I've not gone, ooh, Sabrina or ooh, The Witcher or anything like that. And I know I'll probably get emails of people going, yeah, you should be watching those things. That's fine. But I've been watching Umbrella Academy. And you know, there's only so many hours in the day. And of course, I have been playing a lot of Call of Cthulhu lately, for the first time in about 20 odd years. Now that's made me very happy. So, because it's called Lovecraft Country, and recently I'd experienced that Doctor Who Big Finish release, all about Lovecraft, it was in the forefront of my head. On my bookshelf is the lovely little Cthulhu model. And I really must get around to making one out of Lego at some point. And of course, there's Stranger Things, which I watched episode 1 of, and then I realised that what I would be best off doing is waiting till the whole thing was finished and then watching it in one go. Because I did my time watching Buffy. I don't want to have to sit through whole season ends and hanging on and waiting for, what's going to happen? Is this character going to survive? All that business? No, I've had enough of that. So, Lovecraft Country. Episode 1. What makes this different is that it's from the experience of black people. Now, I will put my hand up and say I am not black. What I am is just a sci-fi fan. A fan of Lovecraft's work, not a fan of Lovecraft the person. Lovecraft the person's always been a bit has always been problematic at best. The man was an idiot. The man had ideas which were repugnant. And you do get tiny flashes in some of his more well-known work. Some of the choices of language for even an audiobook released these days would be, well, I want to say questionable, but just say wrong. But Lovecraft is shorthand for odd, weird, monsters from beyond, that kind of thing. And, best of all, he's now out of copyright. So you can do whatever you want with it. Brilliant. So, as a hook to get you watching another Monster of the Week storyline, calling it Lovecraft Country will get you through the door. But it needs to be something different. Yes, you'll want to watch it and go, right, I've got my idea of what's going on. I wonder how they designed the monsters. Because you know these creatures from all of those years of role-playing games. And reading of these weird and interesting and very odd and disturbing books, and overly written and not always best structured books. I can see why he was rejected for some of his tales. I'm not going to hold him in the highest of regards. What I am going to say is some of the imagery stays with you, and that's important. But that's Lovecraft. Lovecraft Country is a different kettle of fish in itself. It's a different creature. Because here what you've got is the black experience of 1950s America, something I know nothing about. So I'm learning here. So perhaps in that way that Doctor Who educates and informs, that's what I'm getting here. Yes, to know the word racism is one thing, but to experience it in its purest, undiluted form is enough to make anyone feel, well, if you don't feel uncomfortable, you're not either paying attention or you're just wrong. It's not holding back. And you know what? It got to a point when I was watching this episode where I almost walked away. When they're dragged from their car and they're thrown to the ground and the sheriff's men are all around them and they're just being appalling, I absolutely couldn't take any more. And because I'm a viewer, or because of who I am, I could do that. But of course you can't do that in real life. You can't walk away from a terrible situation. If the monsters hadn't turned up, I couldn't have taken it as a viewer anymore. They pushed it and pushed it perfectly from a narrative point of view. But from a human point of view, I was beyond uncomfortable, which I guess is what they intended. It works perfectly. But the best bit for me, as a dodgy sci-fi fan, is at the very beginning when, well, they do that trick that Big Finish do. Your story is going to be long, drawn out, and laying down the roots. Yeah? It's going to be not monster heavy. It's going to build up to some monsters. There's going to be some later on. So what they have to do is they have to show you what they're capable of. Put the tools out in front of you to show you what they're going to torture you with. And to do that, they use the dream sequence. Well, that's just genius. Because there you get all the money on the table in front of you. You've got Cthulhu. You've got the weird dreamlike baseball player. You've got all of that business going on. You've got him serving in Korea, but almost the First World War, because you've got the trenches and everything. It works. And then you're going to go in. You're going to have to deal with Lovecraft's problematic worldviews straight off, but the guy still likes the writing. This guy still knows his stuff. I love that they're all sci-fi fans. These are geeks. These are the Willow and Xander of this world, but they just feel ludicrously real. And then you've got the story building up to episode 2, which I'll talk about next time. A great introduction to a great series. If you're thinking that it's going to just be another Monster of the Week, it's not. Well, not so far. But even if it is, the world that everything's happening in is just different. So it might not be Arkham, it might be Ardham, but it's still a small village in the middle of nowhere that no one can really access. It's still a mystery on finding somebody's father. The uncle character is brilliant. And you just know he isn't going to make it. Because he's just too good. He knows things. He can sort things out. But I'm getting ahead of myself. That was episode 1 reaction. I'm sure I could go into more depth another time. But until next time, be seeing you. That was the Tin Dog Podcast. Available on Spotify, iTunes, Acast, Stitcher and wherever good podcasts are found. Get early access to content by subscribing to the Tin Dog Podcast YouTube channel. You can support the show at patreon.com/tindog. Contact the show on Twitter at tindogpodcast or email tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk. All of the things discussed are the intellectual property of others. No infringement is intended. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.